Continuing our coverage of Iron Fist Season 2, we are coming at you with another Who Is video. This video is dedicated to the deadly female assassin Typhoid Mary. Mary is a bit of a complicated character, but we'll try to unravel her history and powers for you today so that you can get all the info you need before Iron Fist Season 2 drops in September.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to become legendary so you don't miss any Key Issues content, and let us know if there's any legends down in the chat.
Typhoid Mary made her first debut in Daredevil 252. Mary was working at a brothel, presumably as a prostitute or escort, when Daredevil tracked down a villain there. This was technically before Daredevil was considered Daredevil. The women working at the brothel came to the villain's aid, and Daredevil, feeling concerned, lashed out, accidentally knocking Mary out of a window. The subsequent trauma from the attack left Mary with permanent psychosis, as she vowed to never let another man hurt her again. We will discuss her mental illness later when we get into her powers and abilities, but the main thing you need to know right now is that Mary suffers from dissociative identity disorder, causing her to have two other abnormal personalities in addition to her main, seemingly normal one. Her first and main personality is Mary, and she's often characterized by being a quiet pacifist. Her next personality is Typhoid, who is an audacious, lustful, and vicious killer. And her last and most dangerous personality is Bloody Mary, who is a merciless, brutal killer who also happens to hate men. Oh, and she's also a mutant with the ability of pyrokinesis and telekinesis in the comics. I'm not sure how much that's going to factor into her abilities in the show, but she is considered a mutant in the comic books. Mary is first hired by Kingpin to kill Daredevil. During this time, her personality Typhoid is tangling with Daredevil. Mary is actually beginning a relationship with Matt Murdock, and they do have an on-again, off-again relationship throughout the comic books. Eventually, through hypnosis, Mary's other personalities are able to be suppressed. She starts to lead a normal life, she becomes an actress on a soap opera, and like most soap opera actresses, she does eventually completely relapse and go back to a life of crime. Mary has been involved in Spider-Man and Deadpool stories, but mostly has been associated with Daredevil. There was an interesting time period where Mary befriended MJ and fights Spider-Man, and she also subsequently goes on a murderous killing spree aimed at men who have performed spousal abuse. Again, not a terrible reason to kill people, but pretty much aimed at men. At one point, Mary's confined to a mental institution where each personality hires a mercenary. Mary hires Deadpool to kill her, Typhoid hires Deadpool to break her out, and Bloody Mary hires the Vamp to break her out and resume a killing spree. After an altercation with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, Mary is eventually imprisoned in the raft, but escapes after Electro's attack on it. After the events of M-Day, we learn that Mary has retained her mutant abilities, but is now operating under the codename Mutant Zero. She works for the Shadow Initiative under Taskmaster, a Black Ops wet work team. Mary reveals that the reason why she joined the initiative is because she couldn't merge or block out her four personalities, so she offered to join in exchange for a pardon and to help integrate her fractured mind. Typhoid Mary has some rather interesting abilities in the comics. Again, she has multiple personalities that we discussed before, but has very little control over who they have relationships with and what they do during their time in dominance. Additionally, due to her mutant status, she has a number of other limited psionic powers. She can use telekinesis to levitate small objects over short distances, like knives or guns or weapons. She's also a powerful pyrokinetic, meaning she can cause spontaneous combustion of items or people within her line of sight. She also has a limited telepathic ability. She can implant mental suggestions into the minds of others, and she can also use her psionic hypnosis ability to induce sleep in weak-minded individuals and most animals. Overall, it's kind of unknown which of these abilities she's going to wield in the show, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see her multiple personalities come out. Typhoid Mary is a really interesting character, and it's going to be a stark contrast from the other female characters we've seen in these comic shows so far. I'm actually really excited to see this version of the character, and hopefully Iron Fist 2 ends up being a much better show than the first season. That is all for this video. I hope you learned a good bit, and if you did enjoy it, please consider subscribing to the channel and dropping a like. Or just pretend that you already knew all this stuff and keep living your life. whatever you want to do. Also, if you're already a sub, keep in mind we have a fresh new Patreon campaign coming, and every dollar raised helps bring more content to you on a monthly basis. This has been Nick from Key Issues, and remember the motto, comics over everything.